Another Big Ten West title for Iowa in 2023, but no more divisions in the Big Ten, so it might get a little bit tougher for the Hawkeyes to get to the Big Ten championship. Obviously, you add in the teams coming into the conference as well, but we're going to go through predictions each game for 2024, but first, just some thoughts on this Iowa team. So let's start with the offense. I think everybody pretty much has this team figured out on that side of the ball. They should be pretty good at running the ball. Offensive line pretty strong. Can they get a pass game? And that's going to be the question. An interesting transfer coming in, Brendan Sullivan from Northwestern. If Cade McNamara doesn't work out, you've got another option there, a guy that has played and won football games. So I like the options at quarterback. It's really just about evolving that offense and finding a pass game. And some receivers are going to have to step up, and that's going to be the big key. I feel like this team's going to be very solid regardless of their passing game. But if they can develop just an average passing game, this may sound crazy, but Iowa is a contender to get to the Big Ten championship this year. No, I still don't think they're really going to be on Ohio State or Oregon's level, but the way their schedule sets up, they could still possibly get there. Let's look at that schedule, and here it is. So, they've got Ohio State. Yeah, that's going to be tough, but the rest of their game's very winnable. They don't play Oregon. They don't play USC. They don't play Penn State. They don't play Michigan. I mean, it worked out pretty well for Iowa this season. Vegas has their over-under win total at 7.5. That seems pretty low. I guess if the offense continues to struggle, there are games they could definitely lose. You got Iowa State, Minnesota's on the road, Ohio State, Washington, maybe even Michigan State, Northwest. So there will be some tough games on the schedule, but it's hard for me to imagine them losing 5 games. So let's just get right into it. We'll start at the beginning with Illinois State. That should be a win, no doubt about it. And I didn't finish my thoughts, actually, on this Iowa team, so I started talking about the offense. Well, you look at the defense, and their front seven is going to be really, really good once again. I love their safeties. Now, the cornerback position, perhaps that's a little bit of a weakness. I don't think they'll be bad, but they won't be as good as they have been. So that is the one area. If they go up against a really good passing team, I think that could give them some trouble. But who do they face that's going to throw the football a lot? Maybe Ohio State, but that's about it. I mean, they're built for the Big Ten. They are built for what has been the Big Ten. Now, I think the Big Ten may evolve as you bring in these new teams potentially. But I think that they're set up pretty well for this 2024 season. So Iowa State's up next on September 7th. Now, this one's a tough one to predict. It's usually a good game. I know Iowa has gotten the better of them most years, but Iowa State has won some games as well. And again, it's usually a competitive game. It's at Iowa. That obviously helps. I wonder about the run defense for Iowa State. Their front seven, maybe not the strongest. I think this Iowa State team overall is good in their experience. But if Iowa can run the football, I think they can win this game. The way you're going to beat Iowa is you're going to stop their run and force them to beat you through the air. Can Iowa State do that? Well, yeah, if they load the box. But I think there's enough of offense for Iowa if they do that to where they'll be able to make some plays through the air. And so I'm going with Iowa to win this game. I think it'll be close like it usually is, but I think they win, and I think they'll beat Troy after that. So a 3-0 start before playing Minnesota on the road September 21st. This is another game where, Minnesota's front seven, I don't know if they can stop the run game for Iowa. They're going to try to run the ball themselves. They're going to slow this game down like they do, and it's going to be low scoring. And one mistake, one penalty, one turnover, one play could change this game. But I like Iowa. I just think they're the more complete team here. I think they get it done. I think at the line of scrimmage they have an advantage, and that's going to pay off for them. I think they beat Minnesota. Then they play Ohio State on the road on October 5th. Boy, this is going to be a tough one. You're talking about a really, really good defense in Ohio State, an offense that's way more explosive than Iowa. If the defenses are about the same, there's a huge gap in the offenses. And Ohio State's playing at home. Yeah, you get a bye week before this game, but that's not going to really make a difference. Ohio State should win, and I think they'll win pretty comfortably here. If the game was at Iowa, maybe they hang around and make it interesting, but I just think there's a big gap between these two teams. Even though I think Iowa's a top 25 team, I just think Ohio State's going to be that good. So I'm going with Ohio State in this game, again, by at least 2 touchdowns. The next week is Washington on October 12th. I think Iowa has a big advantage with their defensive line. I think Washington's offense will struggle to score in this game. Iowa will score enough, probably not a lot, but they'll score enough to win. And so I think they win a close one against Washington. Michigan State's kind of a tough team to figure out. Complete rebuild there. They've had more transfers after the spring. I don't know what to expect from Michigan State. I do think Iowa's offensive line will control this game. I think they'll get the win here on the road, but might be pretty close. I don't know. We'll see. Again, I don't know what to expect from Michigan State, so I can't sit here and say, well, Michigan State's going to be good at this and bad at that. Like, it's hard to say. So I'm going with Iowa there. Northwestern next on October 26th. This is, a surprise team from last year. They're well coached. The game is at Iowa, though, and it's tough to win there. So I think Iowa is just a little bit better than Northwestern. It's probably another lower scoring game, but that bodes well for Iowa. Again, these matchups are really favorable for the Hawkeyes. I think they beat Northwestern in a pretty close one. You got Wisconsin next. Again, this is a good matchup for Iowa. Wisconsin's strength on defense is going to be in the secondary. Stopping the run, maybe not their strong suit, and that's what Iowa is going to want to do like they always do. So I think Iowa has some success there. You wonder about the passing attack for Wisconsin. Is it enough to challenge this Iowa pass defense? Potentially. But again, I just think the advantages favor Iowa. Plus, they're playing at home. Again, a lot of these closer games, they get them at home. I think they win this one. All right, next you've got UCLA on November 9th. On the road, they have to go out west. A UCLA team that's actually going to be pretty good at the line of scrimmage, and I think they can match Iowa or come close to it. And I think they can make some plays through the air. I think UCLA's passing offense will be solid. And again, you got to go all the way out west. This is a game that I think will be tough for Iowa to win. Not saying they can't, but I'm going to go UCLA. I think UCLA gets the win here. Their defense, underrated. And again, I think this UCLA team is underrated because of the new coaching staff, because of the transfers. But they've still got talent on their roster, and I like them to get an upset here. All right, next we've got a bye week, and then Maryland on the road November 23rd. This is an interesting game here. Again, line of scrimmage I think favors Iowa. I don't know that Maryland's going to have a great passing attack. They've got some weapons there, but the quarterback position, we'll see. I think Maryland makes this one close. I think this is one that they could lose. With Nebraska the next week, it would not shock me if this was a loss for Iowa, but I'm going to say they win it. I'm going with a win here and getting them to up to 8-2, or 9-2. So 9-2 record going into the final game of the season against Nebraska. Should be a good one. Nebraska is going to be improved. I think it's going to be a pretty even matchup. I mean, this is really one, you compare the two teams, and they're very similar. Both should be solid on defense. I think Iowa's a little bit better. It's really going to come down to Dylan Raiola and this passing attack for Nebraska. How much can they get from that in year one? I think it'll be hard for him to go on the road. I know he would have already played 11 games at this point, but going on the road to Iowa, true freshman, that's hard for me to pick Nebraska. So I'm going with Iowa to get the win here to close things out. So yes, I've got Iowa finishing 10-2. A really good season, but I said this on the LSU video. They're going to be 10-2 teams and not in the playoff according to my predictions. And you wonder about this resume. Will it be enough? It's going to be tough, I think, but still a really good season and a chance at least to get to the college football playoff for Iowa. Your thoughts on this team? Give me your predictions on the Hawkeyes down in the comments below.